If you're afraid of things like dogs, snakes, giant birds, or hitchhikers on dark, lonely roads, then there's nothing to see here, and you should probably move on. Deep in the heart of Massachusetts lies a mysterious region, one that's steeped in folklore, strange sightings, and eerie encounters. From ghostly apparitions and UFOs to mysterious creatures lurking in the woods, the stories here defy logic and chill your spine. Is it a hotspot of supernatural activity or something even more extremely strange? The phantom dog is another of the eerie entities reported in the Triangle, adding to the region's lore of unexplainable phenomena. Often described as a massive black spectral canine, this creature is shrouded in both local legend and a series of chilling eyewitness accounts. Witnesses commonly note its glowing red or yellow eyes, which seem to pierce the darkness. Its fur is often described as shaggy or unnaturally sleek, with an otherworldly aura. The dog is silent in its movements, often appearing and disappearing without warning. Some accounts suggest it can walk through solid objects or vanish into thin air. Witnesses often report an overwhelming sense of dread or unease in its presence. The sightings in the Triangle ties into broader folklore about black dogs, which are seen as omens of death or bad luck in many cultures. One of the more chilling accounts comes from a motorist driving through the Triangle late at night. The driver noticed what appeared to be a large black dog sitting in the middle of the road. As the driver slowed to avoid hitting it, the dog reportedly stared directly at them with glowing red eyes before suddenly vanishing without a sound. The driver later described feeling a cold chill pass through the car and an inexplicable sense of terror, as if they had narrowly avoided something far worse. A local farmer near the edge of the Hockomock Swamp reported encountering the phantom dog while checking on his livestock. The farmer claimed the dog was larger than any wolf or dog he had ever seen, standing nearly as tall as his chest. It watched him from a distance, then disappeared as he approached. The following morning, he discovered claw marks on his barn door and an unusual absence of wildlife in the area. In the Rehoboth area close to the Triangle, there are reports of a black dog seen wandering near old cemeteries. The dog is said to appear when visitors linger too long or behave disrespectfully. It often follows them for a short distance, only to vanish when they turn to look at it. The phantom dog is just one element of the Triangle's tapestry of strange phenomena, but its presence underscores the area's connection to death and the supernatural. Whether seen as a protector of sacred spaces or an omen of danger, the phantom dog resonates with the fear and mystery that defines the Triangle. The Triangle has long been associated with reports of giant snakes, a phenomenon that has captured the imaginations of locals and cryptid enthusiasts alike. These reports typically describe massive serpents far larger than any known snake species native to the area, leading to speculation about their origins and nature. The Wampanoag people told stories of enormous serpents that guarded sacred spaces, especially the Hockomock Swamp. These creatures were said to embody the spirit of the swamp and would punish those who disrespected the land. Early European settlers in the region also reported sightings of giant snakes. In one 18th century account, farmers near Taunton claimed to have seen a serpent so large that it could crush cattle with its coils. Witnesses typically describe these snakes as between 20 and 50 feet long, with thick muscular bodies as wide as a tree trunk. The snakes are usually reported to have dark mottled scales, though some accounts mention solid black or greenish hues. These snakes are often spotted slithering near swamps, rivers, or in dense forests. They are described as moving with surprising speed for their size and occasionally exhibiting aggressive behavior when approached. One of the earliest modern reports of a giant snake came from the 1930s, when several residents claimed to have seen an enormous snake in or near the swamp. Witnesses described the snake as being as long as a telephone pole and as thick as a man's torso. The sightings caused a local panic, with some residents refusing to venture into the swamp for fear of encountering the creature. In the 1950s, a group of fishermen on Lake Nipponicket reported seeing what they described to be a giant snake swimming near their boat. The fishermen described a long, dark shape moving just beneath the surface of the water. They initially thought it was a log, but when it began to move against the current, they realized it was a living creature. The sighting gained local media attention, with some speculating the creature could be a surviving prehistoric snake species or an unusually large anaconda that had escaped captivity. In the 1970s, a family driving near the town of Norton reported seeing a massive snake crossing the road late at night. They described it as being at least 25 feet long and so large that it blocked both lanes of the road. The creature moved slowly, but disappeared into the brush before they could get a closer look. The family reported the sighting to local authorities, but no evidence of the snake was found. A group of hikers in the 1990s claimed to have encountered a giant snake near the edge of the swamp. The hikers described the snake as lying coiled near a tree, basking in the sun. It reportedly raised its head and hissed when they got too close, prompting them to flee the area. The giant snakes of the Bridgewater Triangle remain one of its most enduring mysteries. While skeptics point to natural explanations or exaggerations, the consistency of the sightings over decades, as well as their connection to the triangle's other strange phenomena, has kept the legend alive. Thunderbirds are another fascinating cryptid linked to the Bridgewater Triangle, and their presence further contributes to the eerie and mystical reputation of this New England region. Described as massive, bird like creatures with an incredible 20-foot wingspan, thunderbirds have been reported in various locations across North America, including the Bridgewater Triangle. These legendary beings are often associated with Native American mythology, but modern sightings continue to add to the mystery. Witnesses report the sound of their wings as being thunderous, especially when they flap or take flight. This thunderous sound is the origin of the creature's name in Native American folklore. In indigenous cultures, particularly among the Algonquin and Sioux tribes, the thunderbird is a powerful spiritual figure. It's often regarded as a symbol of strength, power, and protection. Some legends say the thunderbirds control the weather, with their wings producing thunder and their eyes generating lightning. In the early 1970s, a group of people reported seeing an enormous bird-like creature near the town of Taunton, which lies within the boundaries of the triangle. The creature was described as having a wingspan of at least 20 feet, with dark feathers and an intimidating presence. Witnesses claimed the creature was flying at a high altitude and was accompanied by a strange rumbling sound, similar to distant thunder. Some observers claimed to feel an unusual pressure in the air, which they attributed to the thunderbird's wings. The sighting became a topic of local legend, though no physical evidence was found. However, the event sparked other reports of similar creatures in the surrounding areas, suggesting a pattern of Thunderbird encounters in the region. In the 1980s, a man driving along Route 24 reported seeing a giant bird hovering near the highway. The creature had a wingspan that he estimated to be 18 to 20 feet. As the man slowed down, the bird allegedly began to circle above his car, coming dangerously close to the road. It was described as having black feathers with a curved, sharp beak and glowing eyes. The man noted that the bird's wings created an eerie thunder like sound as it flapped, adding to its supernatural aura. Though the sighting was widely dismissed by skeptics as a misidentification of a large vulture or eagle, the man insisted that the creature's size was unlike any bird he had ever seen. The sighting remains one of the most cited Thunderbird encounters in the region. A family hiking near the Hockomock Swamp in the 1990s reported seeing a bird so large that it caused them to freeze in place. The creature allegedly landed on a nearby tree and stared at them with piercing eyes before taking off. The family described the bird as having a wingspan that blocked out the sun as it flew overhead. Its feathers were said to be a deep dark color, and it seemed to have a graceful yet powerful flight. One common explanation for thunderbird sightings is that they are misidentifications of large bird species, such as bald eagles, golden eagles, or even condors. These birds have impressive wingspans, and when seen from a distance, could potentially be mistaken for a much larger creature. Whether they are large undiscovered birds, spiritual protectors, or manifestations of ancient forces, their sightings continue to stir wonder and fear, and the Thunderbird adds a layer of mysticism to the already enigmatic nature of the triangle. The red-headed hitchhiker is one of the most chilling and well-known legends of the Bridgewater Triangle, often associated with Route 44, a major road that runs through the triangle. The story of this ghostly figure has been passed down through the years, with numerous reported sightings that continue to add to its eerie reputation. The tale dates back to the early 20th century and centers around a phantom figure who is said to appear on the side of Route 44 between Rehoboth and Seekonk, Massachusetts, within the heart of the triangle. He's described as a tall, disheveled man with bright red hair and a scruffy beard, dressed in old fashioned clothing, typically a coat and pants, as if from a past era. The most disturbing aspect of his appearance is the intense, hollow look in his eyes, as well as his tendency to disappear without a trace. He's usually seen standing on the side of the road, thumb outstretched, as if asking for a ride. Those who stop to offer him help often report a strange sense of unease or an overwhelming feeling of dread. After getting in the car, he may sit silently or occasionally speak, but his presence is always uncomfortable. One of the earliest recorded sightings occurred in the 1930s when a man driving along Route 44 at night saw a red-headed man standing on the side of the road. The driver, initially hesitant, pulled over and offered the man a ride. The hitchhiker climbed into the car without saying a word, and the driver began to pull away. As they drove, the driver noticed that the man was silent and stared out of the window, his eyes fixed on the dark road ahead. After a few miles, the driver glanced over, but the hitchhiker had vanished without a trace. The car's interior remained cold, and the driver felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Shaken by the experience, he told local authorities, but no one could explain the incident. Over the years, similar reports of ghostly figures on Route 44 began to surface, all matching the description of the red-headed hitchhiker. In the 1970s, a truck driver reported picking up the same red-headed man on Route 44. The man had a pale face, was wearing a long coat, and looked disheveled as if he had been walking for hours. The driver offered him a ride and began conversing with the man. The hitchhiker claimed that he was trying to get home and was lost. As they drove on, the driver noticed that the figure remained eerily still, only occasionally glancing at the driver with wide, strange eyes. At some point during the journey, the driver stopped at a rest area to grab a drink. Upon returning to the truck, the man was gone, and the truck had not moved. The driver was certain he had not imagined the encounter. The cold wind that blew through the truck when the man disappeared left him with a sense of otherworldly fear. The truck driver reported the incident to local law enforcement, but again, no evidence of the hitchhiker could be found. Then in the 1980s, a woman driving home late at night on Route 44 claimed to see the red-headed figure standing by the side of the road. She stopped to offer him a ride, thinking he might be stranded. The man climbed into the car and silently pointed toward a specific town. As the woman drove, she reported that the man stared out the window, offering no conversation. After a short while, the woman looked over at the passenger seat, only to find it empty. The man had vanished without her hearing him leave or seeing any movement. The woman was horrified and drove away quickly. But reports of similar phantom hitchhiker sightings started to gain traction, adding to the eerie legend of the red-headed ghost. The hitchhiker remains one of the most captivating and unsettling legends associated with the Bridgewater Triangle. Whether he is the ghost of a long-dead traveler, a time-displaced apparition, or a manifestation of the area's paranormal energy, the sightings continue to intrigue and frighten those who encounter him. As with many tales from the Triangle, the legend of the red-headed hitchhiker invites both curiosity and caution as travelers continue to report eerie experiences along Route 44. We've uncovered more stories, more sightings, and more chilling evidence, but the Bridgewater Triangle refuses to give up all of its secrets. Is this place truly a magnet for the unexplained, or are we just scratching the surface on something even more mysterious? One thing is certain: the reports haven't stopped, and the legends continue to grow.